What is going on, YouTube people? Neo Cards and Comics here on a Monday morning to talk a little Goldin Auctions. This past weekend was the premier, whatever they call it, the super high-end Goldin Auctions. And normally I don't talk super high-end stuff very often. It's not a market I obviously play in at all. I'm usually more the sub $2,000 space when it comes to cards, and typically even less than that. But you can get some interesting market indicators, and there was definitely some interesting sales that I just wanted to chat about for a couple minutes, both on the sports card side and actually on the Marvel side. We haven't talked Marvel cards for a while due to all the national stuff going on, and also an interesting comic book sale. So we're going to kind of hit all three pillars here. Like, comment, subscribe. You guys and girls know the drill. First up, this one to me, I think went either way too cheap or the Lebron is way overvalued. I'm a big Lebron guy. I got the hype behind the Lebron triple logo man to a degree. It got definitely way overpumped and way overblown. That being said, I think whoever got this at 1.7, and who the hell am I to understand what $1.7 million even is, got a steal of a deal. I don't know who bought this, if it was an individual person, if it was a company. This feels like a fantastic price for this card, and I would much, much rather own this over the Lebron triple logo man. And what is this exactly? It's from 2006 Upper Deck Exquisite. It is another triple logo man, but this one, instead of being 3 LeBron logo mans from across his career, is a Jordan, LeBron, and Kobe. To me, this is way more of an iconic card than the LeBron triple. And once again, that's coming from someone that is a pretty big LeBron fan, living in Northeast Ohio area and having been a Cavs season ticket holder for a decent part of my life. So this going for way less than that, I think someone got a steal on this one for the high-end market. Once again, who am I to say what 1.7 million buys? I have no freaking idea. If I have that kind of money to throw around on cardboard with little stitched silhouettes of Jerry West, this would be something that I would have gone after 100%. This just seems like a really good price for this based off of what the LeBron triple went for. Next up, and this one blew my mind. Listen, I played a little low-end prospect game, or I've started to with Valera and Noel, and, played around with that a little bit. This high-end baseball prospect stuff baffles me. This is 2019 Bowman Chrome Julio Rodriguez Red in a BGS 9510 True Gem Plus, going for $276,000. There is no way in hell I would ever drop $250,000 on a guy that has played 5 months in Major League Baseball, 4 months, really, in Major League Baseball. He's having a hell of a rookie season. Do not get me wrong. He looks like he's going to be a really good player. All that being said, no chance. No chance. Once again, if you have $275,000 to throw around on basically a prospect card that's been in the majors for half a season, it's probably 270-some thousand, probably isn't really all that much to you. But I can think of a lot of other collectibles, cards, comics, the whole 9 yards, that I would rather have for $275,000. That's just me. Maybe he goes on and has another good season and someone flips this for $500K next year. I don't know. This seems like an insane price for a J-Rod card. And once again, I like J-Rod. He's having a great year. He's intriguing. I wouldn't maybe mind owning one of his cards, but at this point, his market's so hot and so inflated, it just doesn't make sense to be going after his stuff, in my opinion. Smart on the seller to capitalize on this right now and really cash in on a hot market for him coming off the All-Star game and the home run derby and everything. But the amount of money that gets thrown on these prospects, just even on the low end market, you know, you see some of these, you know, orange base refractors go for hundreds, if not thousands of dollars sometimes on guys that are, you know, in single A, double A, or whatever, and who knows what's going to happen with their career. The prospects thing has always really baffled me on how much cash gets thrown at them. But this sale was absolutely wild. I know Filmington had messaged me about this and said that this kind of broke the mold in regards to multipliers on sales for like a red for the numbering out of this one. So absolutely wild sale on this one for sure. Next interesting one, Star Jordan. I haven't really weighed in on the whole Star Jordan 86 Fleer debate / war that's brewing between basically the people that already own Stars and the people that already own 86s. I have no real great opinion on this one way or the other. PSA is now grading the Star, obviously, and that has given it a breath of life and kind of like a breath of legitimacy. So, depending on who you talk to, I think before they make their case for which one's the true rookie, I think you should make them declare what they own when it comes to Jordan cards. Excuse me, sir. Do you own any Star cards, and how many do you own, and how much money do you have invested in it? Okay, thank you very much for disclosing that. And then 86 Fleer Jordans. How many of those do you own, and how much money do you have invested in that? Oh, okay, perfect. I can already see which way this conversation is going to go based on what is in your portfolio. It seems to be the way party lines are dividing among these. The whole Star thing, it's a little weird set that the guy made and sold in rack pack thingamajiggers, and it came out the year before. They were heavily counterfeited, the whole nine. It is what it is. The interesting thing here for me on this one was the price. This is a PSA 8 that went for $115,000. Now, I am not up on what previous grades of Beckett have sold for in this to see if this is a new record or not. The interesting part here was comparing what the 8 sold for of Star for $115,000 compared to PSA 10 that sold in the same auction for $216,000. Obviously, the PSA 10s, rare, but not really that rare. 86 Fleers are, I don't want to say a dime a dozen, but they're a dime a dozen. That's one thing, and I thought about making a video on this separately. You walk the floor of the National, you realize how not rare a lot of cards are. Very, very quickly. A single row at the National, hell, a single showcase at the National might have 25 Fleer Jordans in it. You see hundreds of them by the time you walk half the convention floor. And it really takes the mystique away from a lot of these high-end cards when you just see them in case after case after case after case, and you realize how not rare they actually are. Now, we'll have to see how the population counts filter out on Stars. I haven't done a deep dive on that. Like I said, I'm not super familiar with it. But my guess is, in this current situation we're in with Star getting a bunch of heat and smoke and pump, if you will, that they are going to continue to outsell 86s in an equivalent grade, and also given the lower pop count and the more scarce nature of the Star. Now, whether the overall community starts to believe that it is the true rookie or not, I will leave that up to people that understand the Jordan market much, much better than I do. But once again, I feel like there needs to be a disclosure of what you own before you state your case, because I feel like that's going to kind of really divide how people think about the 85 Star versus, or the 84, 85 Star versus the 86 Jordan. So, but interesting sale there, both on the Star and on the 86, coming in at $216K. Obviously, this card's down a ton from the ultimate peak of the market. Speaking of grails, let's cross streams a little bit here and talk about comic books for a quick second. An AF-15 sold, and these sell regularly enough. This is in a CGC 5.5 with cream the off-white pages. For those not familiar with comic books, cream the off-white is the least desirable. White pages is obviously the best. Off-white pages on older stuff is usually doesn't hit the book that hard. White pages will get a little premium. Cream the off-white is usually the least desirable of the three big ones. Also on this book, for a 5.5, in my opinion, the eye appeal is not great. The yellowing on this looks a little stained. There's obviously some darker spots over here on the right-hand side, and I'm not a Silver Age, amazing fantasy expert in regards to, what to look for on these books and stuff. But to me, this does not have the best eye appeal for a 5.5. I own a book in a 4.5, an X-Men 4. So, and I've looked at books, from the 60s in low grade before. So I kind of understand what I'm looking for in regards to eye appeal. So to me, this one, the eye appeal's fine on it. It's not fantastic. It's not terrible, in my opinion. Some comic book person can come in here and tell me you're an idiot, and I'd say, okay, I very well might be. That's, most people, my wife included, probably agrees with you. But what I was curious about was the sale here. This went for $67,000 with buyer's premium. How that kind of stacked up over the last few, and it is down quite a bit. The last 5.5 to sell was June 17th. That went for $7,500 or $75,000 rather. And then you see back in earlier in the year, $117,000, $102,000, $115,000, $120,000. So pretty big drop from the early year highs. And even if you go back into 2021, the high for 2021 was $82,000 and a 5.5. Don't know exactly. Let's see when that actually took place. December. So that was late 2021. One went for 78, one went for 82. So this book peaked in early 2022 with the 120, 114, 102, 117, then down to 75, and now down to 67. So even the true blue chip ultimate grails on the comic book side are seeing pullback as well. I've been noticing that more and more across the board. This AF-15 slightly underperforming. Once again, maybe that was a little bit of eye appeal. I've noticed, and this is nowhere near as rare. Very nice book. Hulk 181s are starting to slip a little bit. I bought my Hulk 181 last fall for around 5.5K. And for the first time ever on that, it's slipped under. I've been seeing them go for around 5K now in similar grades. Same with my giant size X-Men #1. Those have slipped slightly. Not like 30, 40, 50, 60% or anything crazy like that. But I noticed that's another book that's kind of slightly backslid. I forget what I paid for mine exactly off the top of my head. But I am just barely breaking even to slightly under on my giant size X-Men #1. And I bought that a couple months before the Hulk 181. So a lot of Marvel Ultra blue chip keys are still slightly pulling back as the comic market retraces, much like the sports card market did over the last year and a half. A lot of comics have come down. A lot of the blue chip stuff has held stronger, but it is also starting to see pullbacks as well for a lot of the same reasons that we've been talking about on the sports card side for a while. Market got overinflated. Also, general world economic concerns, et cetera, et cetera. This stuff is starting to pull back a little bit, which is fine by me because X-Men ones keep getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, and maybe I'll be able to pull one of those off at one point in time. Two last ones I want to talk about really quickly. Another one that's had major pullback, Marvel PMGs. And for those that don't remember, this SpiderMan Red PSA 9, not this exact copy, but this card is kind of the one that kicked this whole thing into overdrive. Back in the fall last year, when the new Spider-Man movie came out, a PSA 9 Red sold for $72,000, breaking, shattering PMG records around the world. And this is one of the things that really booted that market into overdrive. A couple months after that, one sold for $78,000 at the absolute peak of the market in January. I think that was February or January of 2022. And then now we see this one with nearly an 80% drop coming in at $18,000. Not too surprising, as most PMGs have backtraced quite a bit. It's just this one hasn't happened to sell yet since that last one did at the peak of the market. So not super surprised that this one kind of came in where it did. I thought maybe it would go a little bit higher just because to me it is the iconic PMG card. Yes, I know that there's ones lower numbered, but this one to me just absolutely looks fantastic. The red on red, the 2013, still a very strong sale. If you had said 2 years ago that a SpiderMan PMG in a PSA 9 was going to sell for $18,000, people would look at you like you had 6 heads. So this is still a very, very strong number for this if you forget that the Marvel market went absolutely nutty at the beginning of 2022. Just depends when you bought, when you sold, as always, but still a very, very strong number for this card. Now, another one that's a little bit of a mystery, and the last one we're going to touch on today, 2017 Fleer Ultra PSA 8 Green. This same card, I believe, is sold multiple times on multiple platforms for about the same amount of money, around $82,000. Now, this one's numbered out of 10, not 99 like the Reds are, so that's why you see the inflated price. I think Extrinsic kind of nailed this one the best on IG. He would flip a coin to base on whether or not this actually gets paid for. Was this a real sale or was this a fake sale? Because this, like I said, I believe it's this exact same cert number has sold multiple times around this $80,000 mark. So real sale, who knows? But the number is at least in line with what it has gone for since the major Marvel boom. Generally speaking, Marvel stuff's actually still selling extremely well now that the market is kind of reset on it, and things have kind of settled in. So as long as you avoided buying at the peak, the stuff's still transacting very well. A lot of stuff is still selling for very strong prices. Once again, not going for peak 2022 prices, but the market is definitely 100% kind of renormalized and reset on a lot of Marvel stuff. A lot of stuff still trending down, yes, just like most collectible markets, but a lot of stuff has kind of settled in from its crazy high prices at the beginning of the year. That's all I have for you guys and girls today. Curious for your thoughts and comments on this one, as always. What would you rather have? The LeBron, Jordan, Kobe triple logo man or the LeBron triple logo man? To me, it's a no-brainer. But curious for your thoughts and comments. Catch you guys and girls on the next one. Peace.